Good morning, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube. Hey, y'all. Listen, I wanted to come on this morning. I was up and I was thinking about some things, looking back through some comments on my YouTube video from yesterday about Kevin Samuels. And it's always evident when people don't watch the whole thing or, didn't really hear you. But I wanted to talk to you guys about your value. Our value is really tied into our self identity and how we see ourselves and, how we move. It affects so many things in our life. But before I get started, you guys let me know who's here. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Who is here and where are you tuning in from? Let me know who's in the house this morning. Okay. I know it's 6 o'clock on a Sunday, and I'm getting ready to watch Power after I get off here. But I want to know who's here. Let me know who's here. Matter of fact, let me go in here and see if I can see some stuff and where you are tuning in from. You guys, listen, I want you to know something. I really do. I really want you to get this. I really want you to understand this. Um, Other people only determine your value as much as you allow them to, as much as you allow them to. Now, listen, I'm not saying that you're going to be for everybody. I'm not for everybody. I get that, honey. Listen, I'm real clear about that, but it doesn't detract from my value. You see, one of the things that I saw in the YouTube comments was, several of the men were like, 5 marriages, 7 kids. Like, no, that's my reality. That's my reality. See, one of the things that I had to learn, and I learned this very early on, anyone who has known me, even since I was younger, is I own my choices, I own the consequences, and I own my power and my ability to change anything in my life that I want to change. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I am not the person who makes my value about my degree. That's not where my value comes from. I don't make my value about how much money I make. That doesn't determine my value. I don't make my value about what I drive. That doesn't determine my value. And I don't make my value about what other people think about who I am. I had to learn that my value is inherent and my value is I'm invaluable because God made me that way. You see, when you ascribe your value based on the world, if the world gives you value, the world can take it away from you. It's that simple. See, but my value is rooted and grounded in who I am as a spirit, who I am as a being, who I am and how I show up and the value that I add to people's lives. It's so funny because people often assume that because I have a PhD, I'm going to be a certain way, or because I look a certain way that I'm going to, respond a certain way. There are all these assumptions that people make about you from appearances or from basic things or superficial things from your life. But you don't have to allow that to determine your value. I refuse to do that. And I'm going to tell you why. Listen, y'all better stop letting other people tell you your value. Once you know your value, you posture yourself differently. I know I don't need the validation of all these people to know that I am an amazing woman, right? I don't need that. I don't need that. In fact, if I needed that, then it would make me question how amazing I really was, because then it says that I'm rooted in other people's perceptions of me. So let's be clear. I want you guys to understand what I'm talking about. So we have how we see ourselves, how we want others to see us, and how others actually see us and how we really are. So there are these layers to our identity. There are these layers to our identity. And in these layers, we create in our mind who we think we are. We create how we want other people to see us, right? And normally, what we do is we try to behave in the way that we think will get other people to see us a certain way. Hey, how are you? Now, listen, everyone does it. It is a part of life. It is a part of the human psyche. It is a part of the way we are wired. It just is. Now, I'm real clear on the fact that with or without a PhD, like, I'm an amazing woman. I'm clear about that. Having been married 5 times, I'm still an absolutely amazing woman. Having 7 children, I'm still an amazing woman, right? I've learned though that when you allow people to put you in a box based on how many times you've been married, how many children you have, whether or not you have a degree, how much money you make, all of those things, then part of that is on you. Because people can say and think whatever they want to. Like, it's their prerogative. It's their prerogative. And that's why I don't get mad at people for saying what they believe, you know? Yesterday when we talked about Kevin Samuels, I talked about the fact that it's not that I think he was necessarily wrong about some of the stuff he said. It was that his delivery was off-putting. When the woman said that she was average, when she said that she was a 5 without makeup, a 6 when she was done up, she said she was average. He said, ma'am, you're average at best. He said what she said. Like, I don't disagree with him on that. I don't disagree with him on the whole notion that a lot of women make their PhD, their degrees, and their money the most important thing about them. I don't disagree with that. That's not a problem. Now, this is where I disagree. I disagree when you say that people have no hope. It's hopeless, right? Do I disagree that that means there are things that may mean that some 6, 7 figure men might not look at you? I absolutely don't disagree that there are some things where they might not look at you. But this is the thing, and this is what I want everybody to understand. If you're defining everything by money, you're going to miss out and you're going to be miserable. I promise you that. You're going to miss out and you're going to be miserable. It has to be about what you want and what you need in your life. If all you're concerned about is how much money a man makes, that's a whole problem in and of itself, because it says that you're only focused on the financial. What about how he treats you? See, because you need to understand how you want to be treated. If you don't know how you want to be treated, you're going to settle for anything. Oh, well, he makes $1 million and he's got this and he's got that, but he treats you like crap. I don't want that in my life. That's not what I want. See, I'm real clear after 5 marriages, right? Um, After 5 marriages, I'm real clear about what I want and what I need. Yeah, said 5. 2 were to the same man. 2 were to the same man, my children's father. But it took 5 for me. I'm not messed up with that. Y'all, listen, own your life and your journey. You got to own your life and your journey. Your life and your journey is your life and your journey. See, but I believe that everything that happens in my life, in your life, in our lives is designed to help us grow into the person that God needs us to be, to help us have the testimony that someone needs to hear. There are people out there, not just women, but also men who have been married multiple times because they value the institution of marriage. They like being married. They enjoy being married. They enjoy being in a committed relationship, but their picker has been broken. They keep picking the same thing over and over again, and they're not doing the introspection, the self reflection necessary to make the adjustments in them first. So, what I understood was there were adjustments I had to make in me, but it didn't diminish my value. That doesn't change my value. You all listen. In fact, my ability to engage in that introspection, that reflection, those adjustment increases my value. And then this is the next thing. I want y'all to hear me real good. God has made us all to have great value. You are valuable. Now, whether or not you're valuable to everybody else, that's not what I'm talking about. You got to understand that you are valuable to God and you have value, and that there are people out there in this world who need you to show up whole, who need you to show up fully, who need you to show up in all of your glory, right? But that means that there's work that you have to do. When you understand that, and you will hear me say this all the time, you move differently. You start having different expectations on relationships. You start being more realistic, not only in your assessment of yourself, but your assessment of others and whether or not there is a click and a fit. That's got to be the most important thing. If you're talking about relationships, the most important thing is not how much money he makes or how much money she makes. The most important thing is, do you have a shared purpose? I believe that one of the biggest reasons that my marriages did not work is I did not have shared purpose. And I think that that's something that people don't talk about enough. When you are looking at marriage and you're looking at a committed relationship, you need to know what your purpose is, and they need to know what their purpose is. When you get to the point where you all know your purpose, you can determine whether or not your purposes align. If your purposes do not align, you're always going to end up going in different directions. And at some point, you're going to have to make a decision. Either you're going to make a decision to live two separate lives, or you're going to make a decision to end that relationship. But you have to make a decision to understand your purpose. But it starts with you. You've got to know who you are, what you want, and what you need unapologetically. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it, how anybody else feels about it. Like, it doesn't matter. So this is one of the things that I will say about Kevin Samuels is he doesn't care what anybody thinks. He doesn't. But see, that's why he's high value. High value is just not about money or suits or all of that. High value is that you're in a place where you're comfortable enough with yourself that you don't care what other people think or say about what you believe, about your purpose, about how you move, about how you articulate. Like, you, that's what you determine your value. You determine that. Hey, Celeste. Good morning, beautiful. Hey, Y7Z1. How are you? You all, and when you understand that, it changes the game. It absolutely changes the game. See, I'm that person. I'm that person that I'm just crazy enough to believe that anyone can increase their value. And the way you increase your value is you get real with yourself about who you are, where you are, and what you want out of your life. That's how you increase your value. Then you make the necessary adjustments to become whatever it is that you want to become. But you love yourself where you are on your way to where you're going. Good morning, Celeste. Good morning, Aretha. Hey, beautiful lady. But if you make your value about what the world says, if the world gives you your value, the world takes away your value. And then listen to me, y'all. Listen to me. We get it mixed up. We get it mixed up. So if my value is about how much money I make and my value is about my degrees, then I will have a tendency to look down on people who don't have those things. So if you don't have a PhD, it's like, well, I have a PhD. You need to be grateful that I'm talking to you. Y'all, that's some bull crap, some superficial, meaningless stuff. Your value is really in who you are as a person, how you treat people, how you carry yourself, how you love yourself, right? You've got to understand that if you don't love you, nobody else is going to love you. They're not. They're not. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, y'all. That stuff doesn't matter at the end of the day. You can be a person who makes 6 and 7 figures and be absolutely miserable and unhappy and not have a healthy, productive relationship. You can be a person that makes $10,000 and have a very happy relationship with someone, right? It's not just in the money. But listen, don't be ashamed if you want a higher standard of living. You don't have to be ashamed of that. You don't. I think the thing that I really had to understand was you can't make someone want more and you can't make someone want less, right? So this is why it's imperative that we understand who we are. Because once you understand who you are, you understand what you want, you understand what you like, you understand what you need personally in your life for a relationship to be effective, then you will stop being so judgmental on other people and what they want. Truth be told, one of the reasons that my husband and I are no longer together is I wanted a lot more than what he wanted. I wanted a lot more than what he wanted. Now, to him, what I wanted was doing too much. To me, he didn't want enough. Does that make him a bad person? Absolutely not. You will not hear me say that my ex is a bad person. You won't hear me say that he's not a bad person. He's an amazing man, right? And there's a woman who he's going to be an incredible husband for, right? And they will probably share a lot of the same values. They're just things that we didn't share, right? And it created problems in the marriage. James said, "Are one night stands bad?" It depends on who you ask. Like, it depends on who you ask. Listen, I'm not here to be your moral compass. I'm not here to be your judge, right? I'm here talking about these things because I think it's important for us to own whatever decisions we make. If you have a series of one night stands, the question is, are they bad? Well, listen, if you okay with it, then that's on you. But what I will say is, if you are having a series of one night stands, what are you looking for? What is it that you're looking for that you're not finding? Right? What are you looking for? So that's up to you. You got to decide that. You got to decide that. What I know is, if I really value myself, I'm not just going to have a bunch of one night stands. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not, as a woman, going to do that. Right? Now, have I had one night stands? Absolutely. Right? But then you got to examine why. Why? Sometimes it was, I just wanted to have sex. I just wanted some. Now, see, that's the kind of honesty that people don't want to have with themselves about themselves, or with others about themselves. You got to get honest with yourself. You got to know why you do what you do. You got to know what drives you, what makes you tick. What is it that you are focusing on in your life? And when you're focusing on the wrong things, you're always going to end up with wrong results. Focus on who you are. Focus on what your purpose is. Focus on where you want to get to. Focus on not just the superficial things about you, but those deep things, those things that are at the core of your being. Spend some time getting to know yourself, understanding your childhood and how it affected you, relationships and how it affected you, how they affected you. Understand what your triggers are, understand what makes you tick. When you do that, man, I'm telling y'all, it's so liberating. Good morning, Miss Carolyn. How you doing, beautiful? I see you blessed, girl. Mm. Celeste says, I remember I was doing too much for my ex-husband. Now my forever husband and I are equally yoked, like minds, goals, purpose, preparation, and planning, and seek. We value each other's worth. That's what it's about. It doesn't make the other person wrong for what they want. Good morning. It doesn't, it doesn't do that. Listen, y'all, I'm telling you, the right person the right person will understand you. They will get you. The wrong person, no matter how much you try to explain yourself, will never understand you. They will never get you. Like, you just will seem like an anomaly. It'll always be that something is wrong with you. Stop looking based off of this superficial stuff. Focus on looking for what you need in your life. Y'all, focus on that and be real with yourself. That's right. Someone who can accept you for you. If you never change anything about you, if you never change anything about you, and they never change anything about them. But listen, when you're the right people and you have purpose together, right? And you love each other, if there's something that's a problem, that is not a core part of your being, you'll adjust those things for the person that you're with. See, some things are bad habits that we gained as a result of being in relationships with people who, didn't care what we did or didn't care how we treated them. When you're with someone who is like, I'm not accepting all that bull crap. No, I'm not accepting that. That's not okay. They have boundaries. Then you have to respect people's boundaries. But the problem is, many of us won't articulate our boundaries. I think early on, particularly as women, yes, got to be equally yoked. And equally yoked is not whether or not both of y'all go to church. Equally yoked is not whether or not both of y'all are Christians. You can have two Christians that are not equally yoked. Being equally yoked is bigger than that, right? And I think we make it so superficial, this whole equally yoked thing, we make it so superficial that we still miss it. We still miss it. And so, listen, here we are. And I want y'all to hear me when I say this. So, if you know what your purpose is, that's why marriage is purpose driven. At least it should be. If marriage is purpose driven, then your purpose can keep you through the ups and downs of the relationship. When you have a shared purpose, it can keep you through the arguments you're going to have, the disagreements you're going to have, the points of contention you're going to have, the times when you don't feel like having sex, and or like it's going to keep you through those cycles and those periods, the things that inevitably happen in relationships and particularly in marriages. But we've got to be real clear about our purpose. What is your purpose? What is your driving force? What are your goals? What is it that you were created to do, to accomplish in the earth realm? What is that? See, when you operate in your God-given purpose and you connect with someone who's operating in their God-given purpose and those purposes align, you can build something of lasting value. And even if you're not at 6 and 7 figures, you can build 6 and 7 figures together. Everybody wants everything all at once. Everything wants everything to be cookie cutter. Oh, so and so said that I need this, and this. You need to know what you need. What you need may not be what I need. Okay, you got to be honest with yourself. But y'all, listen, I need us to understand that being honest with ourselves includes, when it comes to romantic relationships, it includes sex. Listen, y'all gotta stop this. Y'all gotta stop acting like sex doesn't matter. It does. Not only does sex matter, size matters. Come on, y'all, let's be honest. Size matters. Now, if size doesn't matter to you, okay, that's fine. But stop telling these men size don't matter. It does. You got to know again what it is you want and you need. I'm not saying every man has to have a huge penis or you got to want to have sex 24 hours a day. But this is what I'm saying. You got to find those things where you align, even sexually. Your purpose needs to align. Your sex drive and your sexual compatibility needs to align. You gotta know, but you gotta know that for you. You gotta know what you like, what you don't like, and you gotta be able to articulate it and be able to have an adult conversation about it. See, we don't talk about the right stuff. We want to say, what's your credit score? How much money do you make? I need to see your test results. Now it's not your sexually transmitted disease test results that you need. You need your corona test results too. Do you have COVID-19, right? Like, we ask all of these other things, but we won't ask the difficult things. We won't ask things like, have you ever been sexually involved with someone of the same sex? We don't want to ask that. We don't want to ask that. And people want to get offended if someone asks that question. Well, listen, you need to ask that question. That needs to be on your list of questions that you're asking. And it's not asking to be an insult. It's asking so that you can understand the person that you are with. And we got to be able to be honest about it. That's the next thing. People are not honest. People are not honest. They're not honest with themselves and they're not honest with others. And then you end up in jacked up situations in relationships because there was a lack of honesty. Well, for me, that's a biggie. For me, honesty is a big thing. It's a big thing. That's why I don't have a problem saying that I've been married 5 times, that I have 7 children, that I have grandchildren. Like, I don't have a problem saying those things. Why? If that's a deal breaker for you, that's fine. That's your thing. I'm not messed up about that, because just like you might not want to date me because I've been married 5 times and I have 7 children, I might not want to date you just because you ugly, just because you don't treat me the way I want to be treated. Like, that's real stuff. Everybody doesn't have to want everybody. Everybody doesn't have to be for everybody. And if you accept that fact, then you'll stop thinking that every time someone doesn't want to be with you, it means that you don't have value. That's not it. Your value is not determined by whether or not someone else wants to be with you. And if that does determine your value, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Yes, Tanya, you got to ask the right questions. You got to ask the right questions. We spend so much time, particularly Christians, being super spiritual, but then we won't ask questions. And sometimes we don't ask questions because we're afraid of the answer that we're going to get. Sometimes we won't be honest because we're afraid that the person will reject us based on our answer. I remember when I was in graduate school, I was dating this guy. And I remember he asked me how many people I had slept with. And I told him, to the best of my recollection. I told him. And he was like, "What? I can't believe you slept with that many people." Meanwhile, he had shoeboxes of panties from all the different women that he slept with. That was his conquest thing. He had just had this huge celebration with his friends because he had slept with woman number something. Okay. But the fact that I had slept with more than a handful of people was a problem for him. Right. Right, Celeste. Now, he was talking to me, and it's so funny because this other girl that he messed with, I told him she had slept with 3 people. He's like, "Well, she's only slept with 3 people." I said, "And you believe that?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, I believe that." I was like, so let me get this right. She slept with you, you're one of them. She has a child, so she at least slept with her baby daddy. And you're telling me that she's only slept with one other person and she's 20 something years old, late 20s, early 30s. I don't believe it. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it. And what happened was, down the line, he found out she lied. I told him that. Listen, we have all of these unrealistic expectations that we place on people. Y'all stop being unrealistic and either accept or don't accept people where they are. It is what it is. Okay? And you should not spend your time trying to make people feel bad. But this is the thing about me. Y'all, this is the thing about me. And I'm thankful that I'm like this. You're not going to make me feel bad about my life experiences, my choices. You won't make me feel, you can't make me feel bad. It's impossible for you to make me feel bad. Yeah, the whole double standard, right? And women are taught to lie. I'm not lying to you about that. I'm not lying to you. Now, I will tell you, listen, if you don't really want to know, don't ask the question. I'm a firm believer that if you don't want to know the truth, if you can't handle the truth, don't ask the question. It absolutely, we're live, babe. We're live. So don't ask the question. Don't ask questions that you don't want the answer to. Don't ask questions that you can't handle the answer to. Don't start delving into stuff that's going to hurt your feelings, and then your feelings is hurt because someone told you the truth. That's why y'all need to stop asking people, you know, am I the best you've ever had in bed? Because you might not be. You might not be. You might not be the best. But it doesn't mean they don't love you. It doesn't mean that it's not good. It doesn't mean any of those things, but you just may not be the best. You may not be. So if someone tells you, well, no, then you got to ask the question, well, what number am I? You number 3. I'm number 3. What do you mean I'm number 3? Why did you even ask him the question? Don't ask the question. Men, don't ask the question if you don't want the truth. Enjoy the fact that you enjoy one another sexually. Enjoy what it is that you bring to one another in the relationship. Enjoy that and stop doing all of this comparison stuff, because sometimes comparison is not your friend. It's not. I look at myself and I look at my life not in comparison to other people, but in comparison to myself, who I was yesterday, who I was last year. Absolutely. Yes, stop it. We create all of these falsehoods and then we expect people to live up to them, you know? And this is the thing. So I remember I was having a conversation with my ex. I was having a conversation with him and I was telling him, you deserve to have a woman who, like, absolutely is crazy about you for who you are right now in this moment in your life. You deserve that. I'm not that person. It's not me. Now, see, that's hard to hear, but that's real. I believe that everyone deserves to be in relationship with someone who values them, who loves them, who thinks they are absolutely freaking amazing right where they are. You deserve that. Why? Because everyone deserves to be celebrated, to be honored, to be respected. Everyone deserves that. And when you can't give that to people, then you need to move out of their lives. If you can't give them that, like that, move out of their lives, move out of the way so that someone who can show up, because you're basically blocking. Now, a lot of people don't want that. They don't want to hear that. They're like, "Oh, but I just want them." Well, you may want them, but they may not want you. You may want them, but you may not be what's best for them. You may not. And they may not be what's best to you, for you. Right, Celeste? To the left. And so listen to me. Let me tell you why this all ties into your value, right? So if you're with someone and you do not share those common values, and who they are right now doesn't meet your standards, like it's not what you value, then you're going to do things and say things, and interact with them in ways that can cause them to question their value. And then they feel less valuable because it's not the things that you value. That's not fair. It's not fair. So that's where we have to be big girls and big boys and make grown folk decisions. Now, the reality is, a lot of times we don't want to make grown folk decisions. Speak, I ain't lying either. I just had this conversation. Who wants to be with someone who's lacking sexually? You too embarrassed to ask questions and answer truthfully. Now you miserable and thinking about cheating because you failed to find out before you committed. Absolutely, Tanya. Listen, y'all better have these conversations. Have these conversations. And listen, if you got a high sex drive, do not marry someone with a low to no sex drive. Don't do it. You are setting yourself and them up for failure. Don't do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. Because listen, let me tell you what's going to happen. And I'm not even telling you this as a prophet. I'm just telling you this as this is just what happens. One of you has a high sex drive, the other one doesn't. Either they're going to be spending a lot of time watching porn and masturbating, or they're going to eventually cheat. They're going to eventually cheat. Now, some would say, or they're going to just be miserable. Well, I'm going to say this, that people will be miserable for so long, but then someone's going to come along. They're going to smell right. They're going to talk right. They're going to respond to them right. And they're not going to mean to cheat. They're not going to intend to cheat. They're not going to set out to cheat. they're going to find themselves in a situation where they're probably going to cheat. They're probably going to cheat. That's real. We got to do better. We got to do better. We do people such a disservice. We do people such a disservice when we don't teach people how to learn how to value themselves and what they like and what they need in their life and in their relationships, whether we're talking about in terms of your vision, your values, your goals, financially, sexually, emotionally, like all of those. See, we become unidimensional. And I think that's unfortunate that sometimes the church makes us unidimensional, spiritual, and that's it. Spiritual, we so spiritually minded, we know earthly good. Everything is spiritual. We make financial decisions spiritually. We make relationship decisions spiritually. Everything is made, every decision is made spiritually. But we're not looking at any other practicalities. It's not effective, you guys. It's not effective. And then we've got to do better, y'all. We got to do better. We got to do better. The church got to do better. The church got to do better with talking about and dealing with sex. The church has got to do better. I'm going to tell you why I say the church has got to do better. The church ends up having a lot of people in a position where they're in jacked up marriages because they don't want to sin. They don't want to sin. They don't want to fornicate. So because they don't want to fornicate, they just marry somebody so that they can have sex legally. And then because they're not purpose aligned, they're not values and mission aligned, they're not sexually compatible, all of these things are there. Now we see the divorce rate in the church higher than the divorce rate in the world because people are just getting married so that they can have sex legally. No, y'all. I know because I did it. I got married so that I could have sex legally. So one of my 5 marriages was so that I could have sex legally. Then I didn't even have sex with him that many times, and the sex wasn't good. Go figure. All of that is foolishness. All of it. How do people get upset when people don't know what they want? Get mad that they don't get what they want? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't even be mad at that. And if you don't articulate it to the other person, you can't be mad that they're not giving it to you. See, that's another thing. Um, we don't tell people what we want. We want people to read our mind. Women are particularly bad at this, y'all. Y'all, we want the man to just read our mind and just know. Stop playing that game. Tell that man what it is that you want from him. I just want to see if he's just going to do it naturally. Okay, so he didn't do it naturally. Now what? See, I believe in this. I believe that you watch what people do, but that you have conversations. If there's something that you know that you want to need in a relationship and you're with someone, that you think you might have a relationship with, then I'm going to tell him. Boss Twin said, tell daddy what you want. Listen, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to articulate what it is that you want. So if I'm a person and I need to talk to you every day, I need to talk to you every day. I need to be in communication with you every day. And you go for a day and we don't talk, we don't text, and it's nothing, then I can't just sit around and be mad about that if I don't articulate that to you. Right? So I'm going to say, baby, I like it when we touch base every day. I know we're both busy. I don't have to be on the phone all day, every day. That's not me. That's not how I move. But I want to hear your voice every day, right? That's important to me because there's something about your voice, and when I hear your voice, I feel like all is right with the world and I can do absolutely anything. I'm not going to couch it in a negative. I'm not going to beat him over the head about it. Why you didn't call me and why didn't you call? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And that's one of the mistakes that we often make as women is if there's something that we want, but maybe we haven't articulated it. When we do articulate it, we articulate it in a very negative, combative way. And we don't have to do that. We don't have to say it combatively. We can say it lovingly. We can say it as a point of information. We can say why we want that. I think it's important for people to understand why you want what you want. So I'm big on that. So I'm not only going to tell you what I want, I'm going to tell you why I want it, right? I tell my daughter daily, aside from sex, know your worth. Don't dumb it down. It won't last. Ask the questions and tell him what you want. Truth up front. Know your worth. Absolutely. You deserve to have what you want. But people don't know what you want if you don't tell them what you want. Then you're mad at them because they're not giving you what you want, but you never articulated it. You never made it clear, right? And the whole dummying down thing, oh my God, listen to me. Having a PhD and being incredibly intelligent can be a two-edged sword. It can be a two-edged sword. It can be a two-edged sword because while people often admire it, oh my God, you got a PhD, you got it at 28, da, 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 it can be very intimidating to men. But beyond the PhD, just my mind, my intellect, I need a man that I can have intellectual conversations with. If we can't have intellectual conversations, if we can't talk about issues and thoughts and global things, or if we can't talk about the state of things, that's a problem for me. If I can't have an intellectual conversation with you, that's a problem with me. And this is the truth of the matter. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. The reason that I've been married 5 times, one of the reasons that I've been married 5 times is that um, I dummied down and I settled. I dummied down and I settled because there were things that I wanted at particular points in my life. I can remember when my ex, that we've been married twice, got married the first time. I wanted a baby. I was ready for a baby, right? I wanted to have another baby. I felt like my biological clock was ticking. I wanted a baby. Okay. I wanted a baby and I wanted to be married. Okay. And so I made the decision based off what I wanted right then in that moment. But I was not long term looking. I was not long term looking. A pastor once told me, don't let a man with a GED level of education intimidate a woman with a PhD level of education. Yeah, you I think it's important for us to not let people intimidate us, period. You know? And I think that we find ourselves guilty of that. If we feel like someone knows more than us, or there's more, particularly with men, because men have a lot of masculine energy, that masculine energy will often try to overpower you. And what often happens is with Black men and women is an alpha male with that all that masculine energy, when he encounters a woman, and if that woman has a lot of masculine energy as well, and she's an alpha female, they'll start going at each other, right? And so all that alpha energy becomes combative. This is what I know. It doesn't have to be. See, even as an alpha female, I'm very much an alpha female. I'm very much an alpha female. Put me in a room of women, I'm an alpha, right? I'm always going to rise to the top. I'm always going to come out on top, right? Not because I have a PhD, but because I'm an alpha female. I'm an alpha female and I'm a Leo, right? All of that, that's a lot. That's a lot. But this is the thing. I'm an alpha female that operates in feminine energy. I'm an alpha female that operates in feminine energy, and we show up differently. Now, men assume that we're going to show up like all of the other alpha women that they've met and encountered in their life. Men assume that I'm going to show up like all these other women who have PhDs, and I'm going to be arrogant and I'm going to be combative, and I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that. If you want to argue, you can argue with yourself. I'm not arguing. I'm not the one that wants to engage in a bunch of debates. I don't. I believe people believe what they believe. They stand on their beliefs. You can believe what you believe. I can believe what I believe. You can assert your belief. I can assert my belief, and I don't have to argue with you about it because my goal is not to change your belief. That's not my goal. And your goal shouldn't be to change mine. Okay. So I believe that we can operate in a space where you have an alpha male and an alpha female who are able to get together, work together, build an amazing marriage together, a relationship together, because they understand one another. And as a woman, listen to me, women, as a woman, I don't have to be the man. I don't have to be the man because I'm not a man. I don't want to be a man. I'm very comfortable being a woman. I'm very comfortable in my feminine. I'm very comfortable allowing a man with vision and goals and tenacity to lead. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, all my life, like, I've been waiting for that. And I remember I was in a relationship with a man like that, right? But he didn't want marriage. He didn't want marriage. Um, he still wanted to have multiple women, right? And so for me, that didn't work. So I exited that relationship. He and I are still friends. I think he's absolutely amazing. He's incredible. I learned a lot from him about myself, about relationships. He's actually, even though I had been married before, the first man I ever allowed myself to let my guard down with and really love, to really show all of me. And so I could have allowed the fact that it didn't work to cause me to not believe in love, to not ever let my guard down again. But I chose not to. But he kind of set a bar. He kind of set a bar because his intellect, the conversation, like, it was amazing. Like, it was amazing to be with a man who was intellectually my equal. And it's so funny because to this day, he tells people that I'm probably the only woman he's ever met that was smarter than him. You know, we can honor each other's intellect, but I never tried to take anything from him. Thank you, Rick Love. How you doing, boo? I never used my intellect to try to demean him. I never did that. See, for me, and this is what I want us to understand, if you want to build healthy, sustained relationships, you have to operate from the point that um, each of you take your gifts and your talents and you use them not only to accomplish your goals, but to build the other person up. Fantasia said a woman won't have a problem with submitting to, um, yeah, yeah, have a problem submitting to a man that's worth submitting to. Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. I agree with that. When the right man shows up, when a man with a certain energy shows up, you'll notice women move differently. Women just move differently. They respond differently. You know, I talk about it. I like to call it the purr factor. The purr factor. The purr factor is when a man shows up and he makes you want to purr. Like, you like, see, that's a man that should be like, daddy, you know, like, that's a man that'll draw that out of you. And people say that whole daddy thing, like something is wrong with that, but it's symbolic. It says that I can look up to you, I can respect you, I can trust you with my life. Because, see, that's what, as women, we want to do with our daddies. Our daddies are someone that we believe will protect us, they'll take care of us, they're going to love us. Good. I'm so glad. Yes. Honor the intellect. Yes. It ain't easy sometimes, but it's worth it. Yes. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. That whole, and everybody's not intellectual, everybody's not cerebral. Everybody is not. But I'm very cerebral. I know that that intellect piece is very important to me. Come on, speak life, Dr. V. I'm an alpha also and a Taurus, but I used to operate in masculine energy, absolutely, because of PTSD from past marriages, absolutely combated. I detoxed the bad and I evolved. I now am in an amazing relationship with a strong alpha male. Take the reins, Big Daddy, lead me, and he does. I am purring. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, alpha women, alpha women, when you get in touch with who you are and you detox from that trauma, because trauma is real, especially if you've been in an abusive relationship. And I was in an abusive marriage, and having been in an abusive, and I never would have thought I would be ever be in an abusive marriage ever. Not me, not me, not me, because I'm not with it, right? um but I was. And I believe God allowed it so that I could have a better understanding. So I could have a better understanding of how women end up in abusive marriages and how difficult it is for them to come out of them. So that I could have a different level of empathy for people in those situations, because I didn't have empathy. I didn't. I felt like if you were in an abusive relationship or marriage, just leave. Like, what is so wrong? What's so difficult about that? Just leave. Just go. What? Just go. You making excuses, right? But what I discovered was there are layers to it, because there's a whole process that that man goes through to get a woman to a particular point where she feels like she can't even make the decision to leave. She doesn't have the wherewithal to leave. She doesn't have the strength to leave, right? And so, and it operates on the psychological, the emotional, the spiritual, and the financial dimensions. All of those dimensions are affected to the point where she feels like she doesn't have a choice, right? So we've got to understand that um, what makes us valuable is not the stuff, it is who we are. And if you don't value yourself, other people are not going to value you. I may not be a 10 to everybody, but to my man, I'm a 10 plus, right? The man who's for me, I'm going to be a 10 plus. Like automatically out the gate, he's going to be like, my baby, my baby, my baby. And so all of the things about me, my drive, my passion, my ability to tap into my femininity, the way I move, the way I talk to him, like all of those things, he's going to value those things. And see, that's why you can't be concerned with everybody valuing who you are and those things about yourself. Just be concerned with the right person valuing those things. That's it. We make everything so complicated. We make it so difficult, and we want everyone to like us. I used to tell my ex, I said, if we had a reality show, people would love you and they would call me a B. Oh, she's a B. She's ungrateful, right? I knew that. Like I knew that that's how it would show up. I remember a woman telling me we had separated for a while and then we got back together, and she made a comment to me that suggested that something was wrong with me, which was why I couldn't appreciate the great man that he was. Honey, you don't know me like that, and you don't know him like that, and you don't know what's going on in our household like that, right? And but you can't expect people to, because I didn't let everybody see that. Everybody couldn't see that. Everybody couldn't see the things that I dealt with. Everybody couldn't see that, right? Because they weren't supposed to. It wasn't for them to see it, right? It's not for me to air all that. It's not for me to do that. That's not what it's about. Rick said, I've seen some women say that they want that strong man, but when it arrived, they really don't want that. That's right, Rick. That's right. You got to know you're valuable. Let me tell y'all something. Lots of women say, I want a strong man, but a strong man is not going to allow you to run over him. A strong man is not going to allow you to talk to him no any kind of way. A strong man is not going to allow your kids to treat him any kind of way. He's not going to do that. He's not. A strong man is not going to allow you to make your kids more important than him and always side with the kids. Mm-mm. A strong man is not going to be with you going against him when he is correcting the children. Mm-mm. Whether they're yours or his or y'all's. He's not going to do that. Not a strong man. A real man ain't going to do that. He's not. He's not. That's right, Rick. He's not. And see, the problem is that, and it's gonna be some women that get mad at me. Y'all just gonna have to get mad. But a lot of times, Black women have convinced themselves that we're supposed to be the mother and the father because we're a single parent. We're supposed to be the mother and the father. I can't be the daddy. Now, what I can do is I can teach you what I believe you need to know as a woman. But there are things that you're going to need men, your children, your boys especially, are going to need men in their life for. They just are. They're going to need men. Come on, Celeste. Come on. It allowed, until I allowed it to break down my self-esteem, fear and denial. People thought it was me, the biatch. Come on. They don't know my life. So I finally broke free. I ran and took my life back. And that's exactly what you have to do. Y'all, I'm telling you, this whole relationship thing has got us so confused in our value. Got us so confused in our value. So as a Black woman raising children, and I hear Black mothers say this all the time, you know, Ain't no man gonna be correcting my kids, then that man is not gonna be in your life. Because what man wants to be in the life of a woman and he can't say nothing to her kids when they out of order in his house where he pay the bills? It's not happening. Not no real man. He's not gonna do that. This is why, this is why I I just was real clear on some things. I was real clear on some things, and people didn't always understand it, and my kids didn't understand it. I remember my son saying that I put men ahead of them, right? And it wasn't that I put men ahead of them. It was that I understood that if I'm married to a man, right? If I'm married to a man, we have a life together, right? I have my children, right? I have an obligation to my children and to my husband. I have an obligation to both of them. Both of them have things that they expect and need from me, right? And I remember when I put my son out, he said that I put him out because of a man. I didn't. What he didn't understand was I put him out because he disrespected my rules. You disrespect my rules. The man was begging for me to have mercy. He was begging for me to have mercy. I was like, no, he's not. No, you're not disrespecting me in my house. You're not doing that. I'm not with that. I'm not on that. So it caused him to have a distorted view. But now that he's the man in the house with a woman with children, it's a different story. See, now he understands some things. Now he sees why I did some things the way I did it. Amen. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. I try to tell the truth. I try to tell the truth. People don't always want to hear the truth, but that's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything other than that. I'm going to say it with some sugar, but I'm going to say it. You know, I'm not going to say it necessarily harshly, but I'm going to say it because it is the truth. And I don't care whether it's a six-figure man, a five-figure man, or a four-figure man. No real man, because the amount of money a man makes doesn't determine whether or not he's a man. But a real man is going to get his bag up. He's going to get his bag up. Even if he finds himself in a place where he's not necessarily making the amount of money that he wants to make, he's going to figure out how to get there. He's going to solve the problem. He's going to find a solution because there's always a way. And when someone says that I don't have any options, that's a lie. Everybody got options. The word of God says that he's given us the ability to obtain wealth. And I'm not talking about somebody won't give you a job, so therefore you can't make any money. Then you create your own job. You start a business. You take what's in you and you use that to level up. See, that's what leveling up is. That's what bossing up is. Right. Transparency. That's right, Celeste. Black women feel they gotta be mother and wife. No, just be the dang wife. Get away from the save a Negro syndrome. Be his wife. Right. I I don't want a man. I got a mother. I'm not your mama. If I gotta be your mama, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. So we've got to know our value. We've got to know our value. We've got to know and value the other person. If you're with someone you don't value, get out of that relationship. If you don't value them, if you don't respect them, get out of that relationship because you're doing both of you a disservice. Or you need to engage in an intensive um, regroup to regain respect for that person. And even then, it's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's not impossible, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Value you, honor you, value the people and honor the people in your life, especially if it's someone that you say you love. Women, everything doesn't have to be an argument. It just doesn't. All the alpha energy that I have, and I used to be like that. And y'all, this is a true story. I remember my son saying something about, talking about Black women being loud and, combative and all that. And I just listened to him because let me tell you what I noticed in my family. I noticed that the boys, the men in my family tend to all gravitate to white women. And I really had to look at that. I had to look at that in terms of how are we showing up as women in our family? And what I realized was that we were showing up as loud, combative, obnoxious, gotta be right, gotta be in control. And they knew they didn't want that. Now that's real talk. That's real talk. So, how I raised my first set of children and how I raised my second set of children is different. Now, it means that I've dealt with some stuff with the second set that I didn't deal with my first set. Because my first set, I'll bust you in your chest. Okay? Knock the breath out of you. Try me. Right? But it did some things to them. Right? So I had to go back. I had to apologize. There were things I had to do. The second set, I had more conversations. I was more relaxed. I had to stop trying to control everything because I was a serious control freak. And I know that. I remember my son, he was looking at jobs and he was looking at, potentially doing a job in the city that I lived in. He was like, Mom, I'm not doing that because you'll be in my house all the time. I'm like, no, I won't. No, I won't. And to this day, it's so funny because my daughter's boyfriend just said, Has your mom ever been to your house? And she was like, Yeah. He was like, Well, how many times? She's like, Once. He was like, Well, that's strange. No, I try to give them their space. I try to give them their freedom. See, I had to learn some things. Like there were some things that were flawed in me, and I had to adjust and I had to adapt to those things and I had to accept them. Thank you, Ruth. An alpha male wants his wife to think on the alpha level. We can both see the alpha in each other, but just respect it. I'm not going to downplay your alpha mindset, but don't let it disrespect me as your man. Absolutely. Absolutely, Rick. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely, see, listen, even if I'm upset with you, I can be upset with you, but I'm not going to be disrespectful in my upset. I'm not going to be disrespectful. Why? I don't want you to disrespect me. So rather than um getting disrespectful, with all that neck rolling and all of that, no, I'm going to tell you why I'm upset. I'm going to tell you I'm upset, and the degree to which I'm upset is going to determine how I say it, right? Now, I'm not going to be disrespectful, but you're going to know I'm serious about it. You're going to know like this is for real. Like this right here, like this is unacceptable. No, no, this is no. Mm-mm. And I'm going to tell you why it's unacceptable for me. I'm going to tell you how I feel when you engage in that behavior. Now, if your goal is to make me feel that way, then you accomplished your goal. But if your goal was not that, then you need to understand what happens when you do this. When you do this, I feel like that, right? Or I feel such and such when you say this, or when you don't that, right? So we got to be able to communicate and have grown people conversations. See, that's what's missing. We don't know how to have grown folk conversations, and everything got to get to the point of disrespect. When I get to the point where I'm ready to disrespect you, I'm trying to exit. I'm trying to exit the interaction because I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to disrespect you. Now, if I get to the point where I'm disrespecting you, I have lost everything for you. Hear me when I tell you, I've lost everything for you. When I'm at the point where I'm openly, blatantly disrespecting you, I've lost everything for you. I don't care anymore. Period. Point blank. I don't care. I could give two flying flips. Okay. So even as my ex and I are ending everything, is that everything is ending and winding down. I'm not going to just disrespect him. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm not, because he's still a man. He's still a man. And that's where I think we mess up. That's where I think we get. I just think that we just allow ourselves to get to the point where we're so disrespectful with one another. We're so disrespectful with one another, and we do so much damage to one another that's unnecessary. That's why sometimes you need to just get the freak out. Get out before someone is seriously damaged beyond repair. So people can look at me and say she's been married 5 times and judge me. That's their right. They have a right to judge me. It's their prerogative. But what I do with that judgment is up to me. And I choose not to accept that judgment. I can be very honest with myself and anybody else about why I've been married 5 times. I'm real clear on that. That doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend me when people ask. It doesn't offend me. I say what I say, and then you can take it or not take it, agree with it or not agree with it, believe it or not believe it. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm not going to allow that to cause me to feel less valuable or like now I'm damaged goods. Not to the right man. The right man will see what the other men um, either saw and didn't handle correctly or didn't see. The right man will see it. The right man will say, how in the world would anybody let you get away? How would anybody let you leave? But it all comes from you understanding and knowing who you are and knowing your value. And again, my value is not in having a PhD. It's not in having good sex, having WAP, right? Because we want to make it about all these other things. It's not in where I live, what I drive. It's not in how many businesses I own. It's not in my success level. It's not in how much money I make. My value is in who I am as a person. All those other things are a part of me, right? They add to my value, but they don't determine my value. And when you get to the point where you stop allowing external things to determine your value, then you'll be able to level up and then you'll be able to see those external things level up as well. But if you don't value yourself, you're always going to settle. You're never going to give yourself the opportunity to level up because you're not going to be honest with yourself. Kindness and communication is what bonds. You may not come to a meeting of the minds. Acknowledge their opinion, release, forgive, agree to disagree, then kiss and hug and roll on. Absolutely, Celeste. And it is what it is. Okay, you guys, I wanted to just come on and share that with you guys. That was on my mind for my early morning uses. I know I've been on here for a while now, but I wanted to make sure that I told you that. Listen, I also want to let you guys know this. Hold on one second. Let me share this with you guys. I am doing a class tonight. It's called Corona Proof Your Income. In this time of Corona, COVID-19, we're getting ready to face another shutdown. Another shutdown is coming. It's already happened in some counties in California, and it's coming in other places. And so you got to determine what you're going to do in the midst of this shutdown. What are you going to do in the midst of this shutdown? So I'm doing a class. I'm doing a class today. I want to invite you guys to sign up for this class. Hold on, I'm going to drop it and put a banner up for it. It's called Corona Proof Your Income. Corona Proof Your Income. I want to teach you how to Corona Proof your income, how to use what you have, how to take what you already have and use that to allow you to level up and to make sure that in the midst of everything shutting down, it doesn't mean that you are without, that you don't have money, that you don't have resources. I want to make sure that you guys have access to that and you're able to tap into that. So you can go to Corona Proof, coronaproof.eventbrite.com. Let me make sure that that's right. Let me make sure that that's right before y'all head over there and register. It's today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 to 7:30. 5 to 7:30. I'm not going to be on there all day, but I'm going to give you some things that you can do right now. And it's free. It's free. It's a free class. Yeah, coronaproof.eventbrite.com. Yeah. It's a free class. And so you'll be able to tap into that. I want you guys to know that there are great things that you can do even in the midst of all that's going on right now. People talk about Corona and how Corona, has destroyed 2020 and made 2020 just of no effect, and people wanted to cancel 2020. I don't want to cancel 2020. I put the slashes the wrong way. Did I? Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I did. But I know that there's more. But I also want you to know that there are things that you can do. So on Monday, I'm doing an intro to Forex class, an intro to Forex, the foreign exchange market, with Dr. V. It's a free class. It's a 1-hour class. It's going to give you the basics. You're going to find out if you haven't been introduced to the foreign exchange market. It's going to give you an opportunity to see what it is, what it's about, what is all this, talk about Forex and the foreign exchange market. It's going to give you an opportunity to check that out. That's going to be on Monday. That's going to be on Monday. So you can tap into that. I've got to fix the other one. So you can register at intro to forex with Dr. V.eventbrite.com. And then you can follow my Eventbrite. And anytime I'm doing an event, I will have it up there. I will have it up there, and I'll drop these in the title so that you guys can see them. But I want you guys to know that you don't have to be counted out just because you may be in a certain place right now. You don't have to be counted out. That class is on Monday night. Monday night at 8 p.m. from 8 to 9. You all, I'm going to break it down. It's absolutely free. There is a VIP option that you can decide to accept. You don't have to. But I always like to give people the option for the VIP because this is what I know. I know that when you get this free information, like you're gonna, want to have a conversation with me about it. The VIP allows you to do that. So the VIP allows you to even get more information, go more in depth, and have an experience on another level. So I want you guys to know that you were created for greatness. You were created for greatness, and you can go to Corona Proof. Dot com, coronaproof.eventbrite.com, coronaproof.eventbrite.com, and register for today's class. Go to intro to forex with Dr. V.eventbrite.com to register for Monday's free class as well. Both classes are free. Both classes have a VIP option. Listen, I want to give people the opportunity to get what it is they need from what's going on and what I am able to offer. Now, the last time, well, not the last time, when I first taught the Corona Proof class, I taught it the end of March when everything was getting ready to shut down. And what happened was from that, during that time, from the beginning of April to the end of July, I was able to make about over $32,000 during the pandemic, during those months. In fact, to be honest with you, during that time period, I almost made more than I made in a year or two ago. Okay. So it just gives you an indication of what's possible, right? When you tap into um, the right energy, the right information, and you put it to work. Because all I did was implement the things that I was sharing with the people. That's all I did, and that's what I was able to produce. So I am results driven and results oriented. So I believe in getting results. I believe we deserve to have results. And again, it goes back to knowing your worth and your value. So you guys, listen. Know your worth and your value. Know that you're valuable. Know that God created you with purpose and for purpose. And God determines your value. God said he was valuable when he formed you in your mother's womb. That's what determines your value. Like everything else externally, listen, you gotta know who you are. You gotta know that you have value, and then those external things, you will begin to see them line up in your life. Don't miss it. All right, you guys, listen, hope to see you guys in class tonight or on Monday night. But know this, know that I absolutely love you guys to life and life more abundant. Know your value, stand on it, and value others. You guys be blessed. Mwah.